the United War Work Campaign, which is asking the American people to contribute not less than $170,500,000, is the greatest voluntary altruistic endeavor the world has ever known. For the first time in history, people of Jewish, Catholic, and Protestant faith are standing side by side and working in closest cooperation for a great common cause. The 7 organizations included in the...
That was John D. Rockefeller speaking on the contributions of the American public. In his speech, he speaks of the combined efforts of different races and beliefs working together in America for a great common cause. This combined effort of all the groups of American home front indicate that America fought a total war for the duration of World War I because the population of the United States participated in the war through the purchasing of liberty loans, victory loans, and thrift stamps. The American economy prior to World War I was too weak to pay for a large war. The total debt from the war was 42 times the receipts from 1916. Something had to be done. The pre-war economy of America had been changing for other reasons as well. In 1913, the 16th Amendment brought income tax to the United States for the first time, but it was heavily flawed, giving it exemptions for many reasons, and at this time, 98% of the American public, which was around 103 million people, were exempted from this new income tax, meaning that about 2 million people in America paid the tax. After war broke out in 1914, much of the trade with traded partners in Europe was cut off, so duties on vices such as alcohol, cards, tobacco, and cosmetics quickly began to bring in more money for the United States than tariffs. In the years 1916, 1917, and 1918, 3 different revenue acts were enacted by progressive members of Congress in order to equalize income taxes. By the last act in 1918, the income tax laws resembled more the current ones rather than the ones originally enacted in 1913. With the depths of war looming in front of the Wilson administration, something needed to be done in order to avoid crashing into a cycle of debt. Treasury Secretary William G. McAdoo came up with the solution war bonds. War bonds took a 5-tier system, 4 tiers of liberty loans and a 5th of victory loans. Liberty loans gave 3.5 to 4.5 interest when they were redeemed in 1923. Liberty loans were advertised by everyone from celebrities to Boy Scouts, with the phrase, "Every Scout to save a soldier." Liberty loans were a great asset to the United States economy during the war, providing a huge amount of money. The 5th and final tier was issued in 1919, the year after the war ended. These were advertised as a patriot and celebrate victory with victory loans. To encourage participation, the United States gave 3.7 to 4.7 interest on these loans, which was a 0.2 increase from liberty loans. Also, there were bonds for immigrants and school children as well, called thrift stamps. Teachers would give their students booklets, and their students could buy thrift stamps for 25 cents each. 16 stamps would fill a booklet. Once a booklet was filled, it could be exchanged for a war savings stamp, which would give $5 in January 1923, making $1 in profit. Thrift stamps alone would raise $1 billion for the war effort. Sadly for America, McAdoo's plan was fatally flawed. Many Americans were compelled to purchase, decreasing patriotism. Conscientious objectors were severely mistreated on occasion, sometimes ending in violence. And finally, the banks caused severe inflation of the economy. Some analysts believe the Liberty Loan campaign caused overconfidence in the economy and see it as a precursor to the stock market crash of 1929. Before the entrance of the U.S. into the war, the Allies had depended on Britain to be the banker of the Allied powers, but most of Britain's resources had already gone into the war. When the U.S. entered the war, its strong economy made it a sensible choice as Britain's replacement. The Allied powers took huge loans from the U.S. and were forced to spend it on U.S. products only. American revenues rose to 31 times as much as in 1916. Even though the revenues of the U.S. went way up, most of the money was not paid back by the Allies because the war had taken most of their resources, causing the U.S. to lose much of the money they had loaned. Through the methods used by the American home front to finance the war, it becomes apparent that the United States fought a total war for the duration of the Great War. In World War I, through liberty loans, victory loans, and thrift stamps, the home front not only made the victory of the Allies in the war possible, but many Americans on the home front were as involved as the soldiers in the war.